Thank y'all for being here. You know, we've been debating this for the last 2 hours. You know, and I've heard the words humanitarian, loss of innocent lives, civilian casualties on Israel, our friend, which is 11 hours flight time, 7,000 miles from here. Mr. Meeks, does that same words, humanitarian, concern about loss of lives, did it apply with the Biden administration and to the Americans left behind in Afghanistan?
Absolutely.
Is that why they didn't get them out?
No, what happened in that was the agreement to pull them out was initiated by Donald J. Trump.
No, but the president, wouldn't you agree, the president had action. He could, under Biden's leadership, he could have gotten them out.
And he did. Over 120,000 people got out of Afghanistan before the bombing at Abbey Gate.
Were there no Americans left behind?
There were not, from what I understand, many Americans that were left behind were there because they were multinational. They had families, and the Americans at that particular time did not want to get out.
Okay, that's not what Corey Mills says, who's a member of Congress, who's rescued a good many Americans.
That's what some folks say from the State Department.
Let me ask you this. We're talking about 2,000-pound bombs that kills thousands of people, well, has the potential to. Is the 2,000-pound bomb called fentanyl in this country that's killed hundreds of thousands of young people and Americans? What's the difference there?
I think there's laws, and we're fighting like hell to stop fentanyl, as we have been trying to fight against drugs, period, in the United States.
So the border's not open?
In my lifetime, the fight initially was against heroin that was coming in through the
No,
border.
but is the fentanyl that's coming in now from open borders that this country is taking from over 100?
Most fentanyl, I visited not too long ago. I went to the borders of Arizona at where it's one of the largest border crossings there is. And fentanyl coming through. I asked a number of the law enforcement officers at the gate, what's the best way to stop it? They said the technology's old, that there's ways to completely stop it if we was investing at the border. In fact, while I was there, they stopped the car to let me witness what was taking place. And in that car was fentanyl, in the engine block, in the wheels, all through this car. It was detected by an antiquated machine that they had. And what the Border Patrol told me was that the opposite side knows how antiquated it is. They expect one to get stopped, but they'll put 20 through because they know that the equipment that we have, that we're not investing in the new equipment that would catch all of it. And so they told me that if we would just move forward, as it was put into the bill that we had bipartisan, but it was coming out of the Senate, that would have invested in the border of the new technology so that going through ports of entry, like in Nogales, it would catch a lot more. But we didn't pass that bill.
You would agree this administration has pretty much opened the borders up. The bill you're talking about from the Senate had 5,000 a day, which that could be coming here with no documentation whatsoever. I mean,
I'm just telling you what the Border Patrol told me in Arizona.
Mr. McCall, I heard you mention Reagan. The difference in today with what happened in Afghanistan is what's happening with our friends all across the globe. The trust factor is not there with this administration. You even mentioned, you as head of this committee cannot even get a meeting. Mike Pompeo was giving meetings weekly. But that's a big part of the problems we're facing today, wouldn't you say?
Well, I'd say that the foreign policy, at least my critique of it, and you're right to point to Afghanistan, that was the beginning with the embarrassing surrender to the Taliban. Then weakness always invites aggression, conflict, and war. Reagan was right: when you project strength, you get peace. So what happens after Afghanistan? Putin and the Russian Federation moved to Ukraine. Chairman Xi, the unholy alliance at the Beijing Olympics, now threatening Taiwan and the Pacific. Now the Ayatollah, in this case, has reared his ugly head and essentially unleashed one of its proxies, Hamas, to go in to kill innocent civilians in Israel. Why aren't we talking about the innocent civilians that were killed and murdered in Israel? Israel did not start this war. Hamas did. But you know what? Israel's going to finish it with or without us. I'd prefer it to be with us. For if we pull out of our strongest, away from our strongest ally in the Middle East, what message will that send to Iran or to Putin or Chairman Xi? By instituting this de facto arms embargo, what message is that sending to the rest of the world? It only emboldens and empowers our enemies, our adversaries, and our allies are questioning us. Is Saudi going to buy, will they buy weapons from us as part of this peace deal, or are they going to question whether we're going to pull the rug out and buy them, and they'll just buy it from China? So I believe Israel is just saying, look, we got to finish this. We got 4 battalions in Rafah. We're going to evacuate. We're not going to throw 2,000-pound bombs all. They're going to use those for the tunnels. And I think as evidenced by Gaza City, you didn't see the ratios are much lower than what West Point Academy reports in modern warfare, a 9-to-1 ratio. I think that speaks volumes. But we're not talking about the innocent civilians killed on October 7th. All we were talking about now is the Hamas-controlled human shields of the Palestinians, who I feel for. And we need a humanitarian plan, and Israel has submitted that plan to the administration. And they're putting tents up right now in that humanitarian zone. And we need to open up the flow of humanitarian aid. But I think this is a moment of weakness in the United States, and this is what you get when you project weakness.
Well, I appreciate you putting this up. I intend to support it. As every the Pompeos of the world will tell you now, the question I heard, is it good for America? The terrorists that did the damage to Israel are behind the gates, in his words, as of last week. They're in the gates, in the gates. Same thing's going to happen here. And it's a sad day in this country. We're having to let it happen. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. Yield to the gentleman from Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the chairman and